Good evening, and hello. You are at the Doc Chat. In case you're wondering, look no further. This is the Doc Chat, and I am Dr. Michelle Simone Wallace Rencher. I am a native of Nassau, Bahamas, and I reside in Middle Tennessee. I'm a researcher. I'm also a technology change agent, and tonight I am the guest host of the Doc Chat. Tonight I represent, along with my guests, 4.4% of doctoral graduates who just happen to be Black women. Black women who are amazing, who are beautiful, amazing, and they are intelligent. And without any further ado, I want you to get to know who these amazing Black women doctors are. With me tonight, I've got Dr. Vanessa Colley. Dr. Vanessa, good evening, and come on into the conversation. Dr. Vanessa
Good
is with us
evening.
right now. She's going to tell us exactly who she is and what she's all about.
Again, my name is Dr. Vanessa Colley, and I am an elementary educator. I attended Trevecca Nazarene University in Nashville, Tennessee, where I earned my doctorate in leadership and professional practice. I'm also a wife and a mother of two daughters.
Dr. Vanessa, thank you for being with us this evening. And we've also got Dr.
Thank you.
Alyssa Wilson.
Hello, Dr. Richard, Dr. Colley, and Dr. McLaurin Parham. I am Dr. Elisa Wilson. Glad to be with you all. I am also a graduate from Trevecca Nazarene University. In leadership, I have received my EDD there in 2021. I currently am an assistant professor at the University of Tennessee at Martin in the education department. I teach undergrad and graduate students and prepare them to go out into our wonderful field of education as teachers. I have also started a business. I am the owner and the lead consultant for Ask Vera Consultants, LLC. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
Thank you for being with us. There's so much to unpack there. But before we get into any more information, we have to say, last but by no means least, we've got Dr. Shona McLaurin Parham. She's with us tonight, and she wants to let us know who she is and where we can find more information about her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Shona McLaurin Parham. I am stationed right now in Clarksville, Tennessee. I am currently an assistant principal and athletic director at a Title I school here in Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an elder in my church. I'm a worship leader. It's a lot of things that I am. And I'm also the owner of Salad Station in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Wow, that's a lot going on. A lot going on. But, ladies, as you know, when you are a doctoral candidate, life happens and life comes at you real fast. But I'm so grateful that each of you have not only survived, but you have thrived through your doctoral studies. And before we get any further, there are persons from around the world who want to understand a little bit about the doctoral journey. So, if you would, Dr. Shauna McLaurin Parham, can you let people know? You mentioned being a elder in your church and a lot of businesses going on, but can you tell us what your journey was like and where did you graduate from?
So my journey started with just a conversation with my principal when I was at the middle school across the street from where I am now. He just urged me that it was time to go ahead and move further in my education. So I enrolled at Trevecca Nazarene University, and where I met these lovely ladies here and graduated in 2021 from Trevecca. And it was the best decision that I could have ever made for myself and my family.
That is wonderful to hear that somebody nudged you into that conversation, pushed you all the way to saying, yes, I will enroll. Dr. Alyssa Wilson, I'm dying to find out how and why did you enroll in doctoral studies? Of all things to do, right? How and why?
I've always wanted a doctorate, but after life started happening to me with a marriage that ended unsuccessfully and three children, being a single parent for a number of years, I just decided it was time, it was just time to move on and accept my calling to continue growing and learning in education. So again, it was just like my colleague there, Dr. Parham, McLaurin Parham. It was just something I always wanted to do, and I found the time to do it and made it happen. Made it happen.
Well, listen, I know a lot about making it happen. I know a lot about that. Before we get to Dr. Vanessa Colley, I have to share with you that there's an African proverb that says if you educate a man, you educate the individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate the community, and in fact, you educate a community and the entire world. Dr. Vanessa Colley, would you say that you agree with that statement?
I would
And
agree with that
and
statement.
can you tell me about your journey academically?
My journey, first of all, I never even dreamed about going this high in my academics. After I finished my bachelor's degree, just immediately after, I was not satisfied. I was happy, but I was not satisfied. um it's a long backstory, but once I finished my master's and I said, well, I did this, maybe I can go this far. And I remember talking to a recruiter at another school actually, and she said to me, because I was thinking about getting my eds, and she said to me, she said, why would you get an eds when here's an eds and a doctorate is right here? Just go ahead and get your doctorate. It's just a couple classes. You're absolutely right. I said, you're absolutely right. And I had another conversation with one of my professors when I was working on my bachelor's degree, and I asked her, she was so young though, and I asked her what made her go back to school to earn her doctorate. And she doesn't remember this, but I remember her saying to me, well, I always knew that I didn't want to work hard. And I don't want to work hard. I said, that's good. I'm going. I'm going. So I know you still have to work hard, but it's something that I never dreamed that I would be able to do, but did. And I'm just happy that I went with the decision to go ahead and obtain it.
Absolutely. I'm happy for you too, because listen, my academic journey was fueled out of a desire to know more. Wanted to know more about my home country, Nassau, Bahamas. And I wanted to understand some things and couldn't read a book about it, couldn't read an article about it. And I just needed to know for myself. And so it's great to know that each of you had different reasons for approaching academics, different reasons for enrolling, but you all landed at the same institution, which is amazing that Trevecca Nazarene University here in Nashville, Tennessee, was where you guys had a chance to grow and stretch and really and truly become the women that you are today through academics. Now, we all know this is the month of April, and we are approaching, for many people, the interesting time of defense. Many persons are editing and writing and editing some more. And many persons will be not only defending and possibly even graduating in the coming weeks. Can you tell me what was that moment like for you when you first heard the word, you are finished, you are doctor? When your defense committee or your committee chair, in my case, my committee chair called me on the telephone and said, we've just finished deliberating and it's official. What was that moment like? Dr. Alyssa Wilson, I see you shaking your head. What was that
Man,
moment like?
I cherish that moment. It was just like unbelievable. I thought I really did finish. Like, really? It's over? I'm Dr. Elisa Wilson? It was just unbelievable. I started crying because it was just overwhelming to hear someone call me Dr. Elisa Wilson, and it wasn't until really years afterwards that it's really sunk in, the actual achievement. But at that moment, I was just so in awe. It was like, I cannot believe she just called me doctor. Like,
Almost frozen in time, almost frozen.
exactly. It was
Absolutely.
just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So the same question, Dr. Parham, can you tell us exactly what was your first thought? Who was the first person you talked to? What was the first thought that came to your mind when they finally told you after your defense, you are official?
So I can remember it. I was sitting here while Dr. Wilson was talking, and I remember the exact moment because it was actually here at this very school in a different office that I was in. And when Dr. Ryan Longnecker said, "Congratulations, Dr. McLaurin." At that time, I was just McLaurin. And the first thing, of course, I said was, "Thank you, Jesus," because I made it. And my daughter was actually there. She was sitting on the couch while I'm defending. She's sitting on the couch in front of me. And just to see my daughter, when he said, "Dr. McLaurin," to see the look on her face and the tears that came down her face made the tears come down my face. And then the first person that I called was my mom, because everything that I do, really, I have my mom in mind, because she was a single parent of 7 kids, and everything I do is for her. And so it was the best moment ever.
And without further ado, Dr. Vanessa Colley, can you help us understand? Can you help us unpack what was that moment like for you when you finally heard at the end of your defense, before the tassel was nailed down to that hat, before you had a chance to walk across that stage, before there was a balloon and all the confetti at the graduation commencement ceremonies, what did you feel like?
It was surreal. I couldn't believe it. It was hard to wrap my mind around it. I can remember from Dr. Longnecker as well, him telling me, "Congratulations, Dr. Colley." And I think that was all I heard, because I started my ugly cry at that moment. I didn't hear anything after that. It was just so amazing. I could, they said, I couldn't believe that I did it. It was a lot of hard work. Dr. Turner said earlier, a lot of times he had to talk me off the ledge, but once it was done, and even now today, and I think I just had this conversation a few days ago, that is, I still can't believe it. It's still, to hear somebody call me that is just not, it doesn't feel real. But the first person that I called afterwards was my husband, and he was at work, and he thought something was wrong with me because I didn't get myself together before I called him. And he said, "You scared me half to death." So he had to go outside and call me back. He said, "I'll call you back." He went outside and he called me back. He said, "What's wrong?" And then I told him what happened, and we just kind of wept together, because when you go through this, your husband goes through it too. And he went through it with me. And one thing that I forgot to mention was that when I told him that I wanted to go back to school, I can remember maybe a week later, I had a new laptop. He said, "Get started."
Oh, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
listen, that I think each of you guys had a common thread. The common thread that I heard, and I'm hoping that our audience around the world, and they are chiming in, the audience around the world is confirming what I just heard also, that each of you had a community. You had family, you had spouses, you had parents, you also had amazing professors and even academic mentors who pushed and encouraged, in many cases prayed for you to get across the stage. I know in my family, I have obviously my husband and my children here in Tennessee, but I also have a huge extended family in Nassau, Bahamas, and throughout the entire Bahamas. And can I tell you, there was a fast when I was getting ready for my defense. Everybody knew that day was approaching. And just like Esther in the Bible, the plates were turned down, the teacups were turned down, because it was that important for me and my family and my tribe, as I call them. But apart from just getting through that defense experience, apart from just getting ready towards commencement, we took a lot of time to read. There was a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of editing, but there was also a lot of learning that transpired in a doctoral journey. You don't go through all of that time without learning. Not only learning your philosophy and learning the methodology in which you were able to successfully defend, but the one thing that I want to draw into is, what did you learn about yourself? Not only about the book stuff and the academic stuff and all those pile of slides and the presentations and the rubric, but what did you learn about yourself in the doctoral journey? And if I can begin, Dr. Alyssa Wilson is smiling at me. So if you would let us know, what did you learn most about yourself?
I learned that if I put my mind to it, I can do it. And I used to tell my children this, and I still do. They're grown, that you can do anything. It may take you some time depending on when you start, but just being consistent. And for me, the fact that I just never considered giving up. I never considered giving up. And so I learned that perseverance pays off. Perseverance pays off. Keeping my faith. I grew so much spiritually through the process. Just being steadfast to my belief. I know that if I hold on and I don't give up, and I encourage others along the way, I'm not selfish, that the sky's the limit, So perseverance for me, and I learned to appreciate the details. I'm a very detail oriented person. And in my K to 12 experiences, that was not always saluted. But working toward my doctorate, I had colleagues that were like, no, we need you. We need people who are interested in the details. So yeah, it was growth for me in those areas. Thank you for asking.
That's amazing, amazing. And Dr. Vanessa, similarly, same question. We all learned a lot about ourselves. What was the most important thing that you learned about yourself from recruitment to enrollment, all the way through wearing that tassel across the stage? What did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I had a strength and a determination even stronger than what I believed at first. Um, my daughter's favorite Bible verse is Galatians 6:9. Do not be weary in well doing. And times, yes, I got weary, but the fact that I am very determined, I'm a very determined person. I knew that I did not want to be ABD. That was not even going to be a choice. Was a choice, but I wasn't gonna. It was gonna happen for me. But I just learned that if I stick to the plan, I always try to have a plan, and if I stick to the plan, that I can, like she said, I can accomplish it. Yeah, they finished ahead of me. We were in the same cohort, and they finished ahead of me. But I remember Dr. Wilson and I were in Birmingham, maybe a year ago, and we were sitting having lunch, and I said, you know what? I am not giving up. And the determination was always there. I even told Dr. Longnecker, if you just hanging there with me, I'm going to finish this. And he did. And I finished, and I'm grateful for that. And I thank these ladies for pushing me along the way, Dr. Wilson and uh, Dr. Parham. We were in a lot of classes together, and we did some assignments together. But having this group of ladies has been awesome.
Listen, your audience is actually clapping with you right now. One of our audience says that is nothing like a Black woman on a mission, right? We have something in our mind. And even as you just said, the other persons in your cohort may have ended just ahead of you. They may have defended, they may have had all the editing taken care of. Something happened, you went way left, they went way right. But at the end of the day, look at where we are today. Right? You've all done, right? We're all finished. And every now and then somebody asks me the question about what's the difference between the EDD and the PhD or the philosophy. And I always tell them, listen, Dr. Seuss, Dr. Spock, and Dr. Rencher have one thing in common. You're going to call them doctor because they all finished. And so it doesn't matter when you start a journey, as long as you are tenacious, as long as you are focused on the mission, focused on that mission, you're going to finish. Dr. Parham, let us know, what did you learn about yourself, and how can you help our audience? Because again, our audience happens to be persons who are beginning or thinking about the journey. Our audience is persons who are in the midst. Many of our persons in our audience have already finished the tassel, and the tassel was worth the hassle, and they can confirm that. But there are many persons who are watching you right now. What did you learn about yourself in the journey?
So I've always thought that I was resilient because I have a resilient mother, but this program allowed me to see that I have resilience like none other, that when obstacles come in the midst of your collecting data or trying to get a survey out and you're denied, but again, a denial does not mean that you're done. So to keep keep pushing, keep being resilient, don't accept no. And that's one of the things that I saw through this journey for me, was that resilience has, that's again, that's my middle name now. So I am very resilient, that I'm not going to stop. If I know that this is what my destiny says, and if I know that this is what God says for me, I'm going to keep going no matter what. If man says no, God still says yes. And so I'm going to lean on God. So I think I'm going to take his word versus the man's word. So
Listen, I think I'm going to follow you on that pathway also because, listen, if he says yes, then we're going to finish whatever it is we put our minds to. We know that there's so much going on in our journeys, whether it's academic or professional, whether it is down the road or what have you. Again, our audience is even telling us they didn't even know that was a thing, A, B, D. But many of us were determined, we were each determined that that was not going to be our fate. And apart from our determination, apart from our desire and motivation, it was designed by God. God said, no, you are not going to be that situation. And, for that, Dr. Whitty, we appreciate you for chiming in there, sir. But I want to take a little shift from our conversations. Ladies, I promised you we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to inform, we're going to educate, we will inspire, but we will also demonstrate to the world that Black women who have finished doctoral studies, women who who do not have a honorary, but who did the work and have walked across many stages. But we finished our final stage in academics. And above all things, one of the things that I have to let you know is that one of my favorite actors is Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson, as many of you know, is an amazing actor. He's been around forever and a day. But if you Google him right now, apart from all of his movies and his roles and being a philanthropist, you will also find that he is a spokesperson. And one of his commercials asked the question, what's in your wallet? So tonight, ladies of the Doc Chat, starting with Dr. Vanessa Colley, I would like to know what, not in your wallet, because you may have some credit cards or some IDs, and you may even have some Bitcoin, but what is in that little pouch on the inside of your purse, that section of the purse that maybe your kids know not to go into? Maybe you have something hidden in that little small little pouch inside your purse. Dr. Vanessa Colley, what's in your purse?
Chapstick. Chapstick. I
And
can't leave the home. I can't leave home without it.
what's the brand? Is it Burt's Bees? We doing regular chapstick? We doing Walmart brand? What do we have going on? What's going on?
I have chapsticks all over the house. Just
Okay.
different Burt's Bees, chapstick brand.
So your lips are always moist.
Always.
And so
Always.
that means that you are ready for any conversation because your lips are always moist.
That's right.
Okay,
I
that's
will
what it
turn the
sounds like
car
to me.
around and come back and get a chapstick. Well, it's always one in the car.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. Alyssa, I see you laughing, but you know you next.
I did not know I was next. I was just inching over my purse so I could just literally see what was in my purse. Okay. Along the same lines as Dr. Coley, I make sure my lipstick is in there because I like to smile. And so I make sure my lipstick is in there. If I'm going to swap out, like today I knew I had on purple, I made sure I put my appropriate purple Luscious lipstick in my purse. But yeah, I'm going to definitely make sure the lips are right.
Dr. Parham, does that concur with you, ma'am? Are you part of the moist and fabulous lip ladies? See, I have people from all around the place who were saying you ladies are inspiring, and I'm believing that
yes,
they're not
ma'am.
only inspired by our academic prowess, they're not only inspired by our professionalism and our ability to navigate in academic and the professional spaces, but they also admire the fact that we are transparent and that we've got moist lips, able to speak in any space. Because listen, that we here for the conversation, right?
Yes,
So, ladies, keeping on that same tone, I shared with you earlier that my name is Dr. Michelle Simone Rencher. And my first name's after my father was Michael. My mother named me after her favorite singer, the legendary truth teller Nina Simone. And Nina Simone, as you know, is a jazz singer, but she was also a truth teller. And one of my superpowers is that I have the ability for persons to be comfortable around me, comfortable enough to share what's in their purse, but also share some things, some truths about them. Tonight, I want the world to know something interesting about you, but rather than a random, because we're not doing the random here, I want to share with you that one of my truths in my academic learning was that my study was inconclusive. I found out some things I was able to successfully defend. I got great comments in my defense experience, but I was inconclusive. And so my question for you is, what would you have done? What would have been your facial expression? What would have been the overall tone of your voice if the committee said, yes, you are a doctor, but for some random reason, your study was inconclusive? I want you to help me understand, how would you have felt, and how would you help another student who may be in the rigors of researching and writing what they believe is going to give them a good answer? Because we don't begin this journey trying to because we know the actual end of the story. We begin because we want to understand something. So as a truth teller, I want to encourage you to be transparent in your experience. First off, what would you have done if your study was inconclusive? And what would you tell another student to propel them on if they are in the throes and possibly not finding what they believed they would find? So first off, Dr. Parham.
Wow. So mine was not inconclusive. However, the data that I was able to collect was the sample size was smaller than what I was expecting it to be. And so in that, I had to revamp some things, and I had to rethink how I was going to attack and go and be able to maneuver and figure out how I was going to be able to get the results that I knew or that I felt would be the answer. But being able to get a greater sample size, I had to go outside of where I initially took the sample for. So that's where the resilience comes in, is that sometimes we have to go outside of the box of where we think our answers lie and go somewhere else to be able to pull those things in. So I would advise whoever is in that journey to do that now. Don't stay you can't stay within a box. Always think outside the box and outside of those parameters and see what's out there, because there's always something out there for us.
Great advice, because again, similar to you, I had to widen the scope of study. I had to go and find some more persons to participate in my interviews, try and figure out a different angle, and even in my research, I found that the university had rubric parameters. They wanted me to study this, and because I'm a native of the Bahamas, I wanted to study all kinds of things that I knew would not only inspire, but would also inform national development. And the university couldn't understand my perspective. In fact, in even as early as my proposal, the university said, "This is not a problem." Really. And my advice to students and even others who are considering the journey of academics, to recognize that sometimes you are the best example of what you really want to study. Sometimes, even if you learn something and you figure, okay, I'm going to study this. In my example, I was not just a learned person or a person who had experience or exposure to my topic. It was a part of my lived experience. I examined the perception of effective leadership in the Bahamas public sector and how it would actually impact the brain drain. I'm an actual participant in the problem. So when I went off to university, I began and became a brain drainer. I wanted to solve a problem of which I am a problem. And so for me, the problem was solved by not only broadening my scope in research, but also being bold enough and brave enough to demonstrate the narrative and say, listen, this is not something that I think is a problem. It's what they say. And in this case, they happened to be the United Nations. It happened to be the IDB. It happened to be all of these global entities who identify this problem. And so, Dr. Colley, can you tell me a same kind of experience? What was your thought? How would you have responded if your study was determined to be inconclusive? And what kind of advice would you give to somebody who is deep in the throes of either research, editing, or even writing, and they're being told by the academic institution that, you're too narrow, or even in some cases too broad? How would you give them advice onto how they would actually approach it from a different angle so that they can be successful academically and ultimately get to the finish line?
Well, luckily, I didn't have any of those issues, but I am like a dog with a bone. I just won't let go. So I would just tell people, to make sure that you cross all of your T's, you dot all of your I's, get expert opinions, because of course we're not experts until they call your name, Dr. Colley, or Dr. Wilson or Dr. Parham. So you can go out and get expert opinion. But the thing is that it's your study. Should they really be telling us, you know, um, what we should be doing? If, I did a qualitative case study, which was amazing because, of course, I got to ask questions and probe and just go into people's lives. Now, one of the issues that I did have was that I collected data from the school that I was also working at, and I had to kind of, I don't even know how to say it. People were afraid to participate, because a backlash of some sort. But you have to let them know that your answers or whatever you do, your survey is secure. That was maybe one of the issues that I had with my dissertation, with the process. But other than that, it's your study. I just feel like, how can they tell you how to do it? So that's all I have. Dot your I's and cross your T's.
Absolutely. And so I have a person here who's making a statement saying that research does not have to be conclusive. And that was actually the bottom line for me. I recognize that here is the answers. Here is what the research has told me. And as a researcher, as many of you may know, research does not end. Just because you have the tassel on your head and just because you have the fancy photographs of graduation and commencement ceremonies, and even if you happen to be a part of the doc chat, the research never ends. And so I'm currently in the process of getting to the final answers of something that I put down over 2 years ago. And so, R.T. Richards, thank you for reminding us that research does not have to be conclusive, but that we get to write our narrative. We get to tell our story the way we can tell our story, in our most authentic and our most transparent way. And so, of course, no further than the truth. We have to hear from Dr. Alyssa, because she, I know, has some great, amazing suggestions, recommendations, and probably even some strategies for students based upon her experience having finished her study already. Dr. Wilson, Dr. Let us know.
Wow, Dr. Rancher. Everything that has been said has been so wonderful, but I have to ditto what Dr. Colley said. Make sure that you're thorough. But also, as that guest wrote in the comments, your conclusion is whatever it is. And so to be transparent and write your story, and to be clear in your dissertation, this is what I thought, but this is what the evidence in my data has proven and shown. And then you have an opportunity to also speak to that and say whether or not you're going to continue your research afterwards, which is what I'm doing as well, Dr. Rencher. I thought in my mixed methods, correlational and phenomenological design study, that my results were going to be one way, and I was totally surprised. They turned out to be little significance to no significance. So I had to write about that, and it was difficult to accept that fact, but it was a fact. That's what came out. And so I would just say, don't be discouraged. There's a lot of opportunities in this journey to get discouraged. And so if you're not used to being able to encourage yourself, I suggest you start. You've got to be your biggest cheerleader first. And then other people will also support you. If they see that you still believe in yourself and what you're doing, then other people will also encourage you as well. And surround yourself with those positive people. As soon as someone says something negative to you, or if someone gives you some feedback that's on your team, that's supposed to be looking at your dissertation, and you're helping you with your studies, and they say, well, I think you should make this left turn instead of that right turn, then ask them those hard questions. Ask them why. Get some information from them that's going to help you along your journey. Assume that everyone is for you and not against you. And so when people give you criticism, look at it that way for what it actually is, just their opinion, just criticism. And so try to use whatever they tell you to your benefit. That's what I would say. And encourage yourself as much as possible. Encourage yourself. This is your opportunity to speak your truth, and the facts, whatever they are what they are. And given the opportunity post-doctorate, go ahead and pursue additional research.
Absolutely. And again, to your point, to go ahead and echo what you just shared about, this is a teaching opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn. It's also an opportunity to expand the existing body of knowledge. Because I examined leadership, and the topic of leadership is typically coming from a very Eurocentric perspective, I wanted to examine leadership in the Bahamas, a very tiny country that oftentimes is known for sun, sand, and sea. And behind me is an aerial view of what the Bahamas looks like. But I wanted the people of the world, through my examination of the Bahamas public sector, to understand that we are way more than sun, sand, and sea, but we also are brilliant. We also represent excellence in so many disciplines. And so when you have an opportunity to learn, you also have an opportunity, you also are commanded, and you also are duty bound to share your expertise. And as we all know, research is always changing. And so the more we learn, the more we share, the more we write, the better the world is because of that. So ladies, without any further ado, I have to understand your superpower. So you share with me that you each are resilient, you are clearly resourceful, you clearly are motivated. But if you had to wear a cape, if you are either Marvel or any of the superhero galaxies in any of the worlds, or maybe your superpower is something that we have never seen in print, or perhaps on any of the big screens. But I need to understand, Dr. Vanessa Colley, what, ma'am, is your superpower? And what color is your cape? And what color is your cape?
My color, probably purple. Um, Persistent. I'm very persistent. And I'm also an encourager. I can get people to do things that other people can't get them to do. I don't know why I'm like that, but I can get people to just do things. And I don't mean anything wrong. Like, I can remember before I even started on my bachelor's degree, there were people around me that wanted to go back to school. Why don't you? But I'm not in school. And they did. I can remember a conversation I was young, of course, and I was working in the mall, and the Chick-fil-A across the hall from me, one of the workers said, I think I want to be a chef. I said, well, why don't you do it? She's a chef now. I wasn't even in school, but I can always encourage people to do things that I wasn't doing. So I would say encouragement and persistence is my superpower.
Well, that's good to hear. So I now know if I ever need to be encouraged, who I'm supposed to call. Dr. Vanessa Colley is that person who's going to pump me up, get me where I need to go. And of course, that purple, regal, saying like, wow, you see me, the world recognizes, because she's going places. So I love that. Now, the lady who is wearing purple right now, I have to ask her next. Dr. Alyssa Wilson, what, ma'am, is your superpower? And what color is your cape? Because both persons are going to want to know when they see you, because you're wearing your cape, that they can identify you with this superpower. What is your superpower?
I would say my superpower is, my cape is green, because green is my favorite color. I have on purple, but it just happened to be a purple day. But green is my favorite color, so my cape is definitely green. My superpower is I tend to not dwell on the past. And so if you're a person where you've messed up and you've been beating yourself up about something that's happened in the past, let me just be your encouragement, like Dr. Colley said. But I try to just be kind to people and nice to people and just remind them that today is a new day. You know, the past is the past. We all have a past. There are things that happened yesterday that I wish did not happen, but I can't go back and change anything that happened yesterday. I have today. And so my superpower is just reminding other people to embrace their now, and to be kind to people and not throw up what may have happened in the past that maybe I'm aware of. I just try to be kind to people and try to, along like what Dr. Colley said, be encouraging as well, but remind them that you only have today. Like, this is what we have, the present, and don't dwell on the past. Don't dwell on the past.
That is awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. So now we know you are a person that could get beyond a whole lot of stuff. You know how to survive and how to navigate, and probably have some
Yes.
lessons for those of us who may get stuck every now and then. You are definitely amazing. So thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
And Dr. Shona McLaurin Parham, ma'am, what color is your cape? And what is the superpower that's behind that cape?
So my cape is actually purple and red. So uh, yes, it's purple and red. And my superpower is definitely peace. That no matter what is going on around me, no matter the storm, no matter what's happening around me, I can have peace in knowing that it's all going to work together for my good. As I've started this journey as an entrepreneur, I've been in a journey for almost 2.5 years, and it just came to fruition on February the 7th as the grand opening. And so, in the midst of it, it was hard, but I could have the peace in knowing that what I heard God say to me that He had for me, that it was going to happen. So my encouragement to everyone, as Dr. Colley, is just to have peace. Don't allow the noise to take away what you've heard. If you heard Him say, finish, finish. So just have peace about everything that you do. So that's my superpower, is peace.
Behind you. Dr. Roy Richards has saying that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Absolutely, sir. Thank you for chiming in with that, and for letting us know also that some of the kindest, most peaceful people, if I can add to it, are often the most smartest people, because they don't really waste a lot of brain cells focusing on the other stuff. We love that. We love that. Ladies, I shared with you earlier that my middle name is Simone. And I've always cherished the fact that Nina Simone was near and dear to my name and who I am as a person. I believe that my cape, as you can see, I'm a colorful person. I don't know that I would even have a cape. I know that I need bracelets. So I am sort of like a Wonder Woman or Isis, Mighty Isis, wearing the multiple bracelets and bangles, because I don't tend to go anywhere unless I have on my ethnic jewelry, and I want to make some noise when I walk in the room. So I'm going to have bracelets rather than a cape, and it's going to be colorful. But I think the most important thing about me is not only am I believe in being a peacemaker, but I believe in being that person that demonstrates to people, if you don't recognize how it can happen, let me show you. Let me show you. And I also believe in being resilient, resourceful, yes. But I also recognize that it's important to also roll up your sleeves and help make things happen. I'm never afraid to say, you know what, let me try this. It may just work out. And even if it doesn't work out, that's what I meant to do anyway. And so I think it's so important to recognize that. But again, Nina Simone, legendary truth teller, is who I am named after, and I enjoy the fact that people tend to tell me their truths. And I believe that is a very important power to have around people, because they recognize that they feel a certain level of comfort, and they believe that they can give me some of their truth, because as we say in the Bahamas, I believe in being a deep freeze. We've all seen a freezer in the kitchen. If you slam the freezer, it's a little challenging to get it out. So it's just a little bit of truth about me. So ladies, we talked a little bit about academic journeys. We've all recognized that the tassel was truly worth the hassle. We've given advice and we've also shared some of our academic journey with our audience. But now is the time where it's time to get really serious. We need to go on ahead and really get down to brass tacks, as they would say. Dr. Shona McLaurin Parham, you shared a little nugget about this business. You told us that you are in Clarksville. I'm in the middle of the state, but you are in the northern part of Tennessee. And you shared with us that you have a business and you've been hinting about this business. And I can't let it rest unless you tell us and the world, what is your business and where can we find the business and what do you do? What's so special about it? And why is now the time that we should drive from Middle Tennessee all the way to Clarksville, Tennessee to go ahead and support the business?
So the name of my business, it's Salad Station. So in 2021, January 2021, my aunt passed away in Mississippi. And so we went down to her service, but it was still in the midst of COVID. And so I didn't want to stay at my mom's house because she was older. So I just stayed in a neighboring city, and I love salads. And so right behind it was a salad station. And I walked in and I tell everybody, every interview that they've asked me, literally it sounded like angels were singing when I walked in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just fell in love. And so when I came back to Tennessee, I just couldn't shake it. And so I found the number to that actual store and called and actually spoke with the franchise owner. And he told me about his journey and just put me in contact with the coordinator. I called them and went down to Louisiana for a discovery day. And when I walked in to their home office, my scripture was on their wall. And so to me, it just kept, like, I just couldn't let it go. So moving forward, it took 2 years for this to come to pass. Again, February 7th was our grand opening. Again, with all the obstacles, there was construction problems. There was all types of things happening. But Salad Station is a franchise based out of Louisiana, and we offer over 100 items on our salad bar. We have a hot bar with baked potato, sweet potato. We have macaroni and cheese, pulled pork. We have our signature lemonades. It's a lot going on, but again, drive on up to Clarksville. We're at 882 Craft Street, Suite A, and come enjoy Salad Station. You can go to saladstation.com and you'll be able to click on Clarksville, Tennessee. And we're also on Facebook at the Salad Station Clarksville.
Now, I have to tell you, on the screen, we've got the saladstation.com, and Clarksville, Tennessee is where you can find her. But you did not tell us the scripture.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. So it was whatsoever you do, do it heartily unto the Lord.
Yes, ma'am.
I was sold at that point.
Yes, ma'am. And you know what I love about that, apart from that, and I love a good salad, is, and of course my husband is military, so I do know how to get to Clarksville. So thank you for that plug. But I have to say, the fact that you had a good product and you experienced good service and it sat with you. The scripture was there, absolutely, but good product and good service. And you said, you know what? I think I want to give this to other people. That is amazing. And that also speaks about you being a lifelong researcher. Because you found the telephone number, you went to Louisiana to experience the research itself. You had the hand-on, lived experience. So you're doing your own research real time, and then came back home to Tennessee and decided to go ahead and implement what you learned. Much of what our research tells us to do is to find out these strategies and put them into place. And so you took your academic experience and propelled it into a business venture. And on the screen, we can now see, shameless plug, that if you need a salad in the state of Tennessee, you need to go on up. And even if you're in Alabama, drive across the state, almost to the border of Kentucky, and get there. So thank you for sharing that with us. Dr. Alyssa Wilson, same question.
Okay. I have a lot going on. I love research. I have become an international speaker this year of 2024. I just returned, thank you. I just returned from Valencia, Spain, where I spoke on AI and Chat GPT in higher ed. I shared some preliminary research findings there. I'm headed to Athens, Greece in May, where I'll do a presentation on my dissertation study, which was on teacher absenteeism. I am also traveling to Buenos Aires, Argentina in July to collect some more data on AI and ChatGPT in particular. And then I am looking forward to a conference in Hawaii during the winter months, Honolulu, Hawaii, to also share some research. I've been accepted to do an additional presentation in Granada, Spain in July of 2025. So I am just super excited to continue my desire to research, and especially in AI. Artificial intelligence and how it's affecting higher ed as well as K through 12. And so that's what I'm doing right now. If anyone is interested in my data, would like to join me on any of my conferences internationally, then please contact me. I do have a business. It's called Ask Vera Consultants.org is my website. Ask Vera. My grandmother's name was Vera. And I felt like everybody in the whole small town that she lived in called on her, and she always had an answer. So I said, you know what? When I have my business as a consultant, it's going to be Ask Vera. My name isn't Vera. It's named after my grandmother. But ask me, I'm going to find an answer to your question. So that is what I'm doing. I'm excited, and I'm available.
Absolutely. And again, on the screen, we've got it, askveraconsultants.org. And listen, I work in technology. I understand how important it is to understand AI. Even if we don't necessarily are, if we aren't users of AI, we all touch it at some point in time. It's imperative that we actually understand how to use it, understand the risks, and that we also understand how to use it responsibly. So thank you for being out there globally, sharing the message of responsible usage of AI so that we can not only stay safe, but that we can continue to thrive and not just survive in this current
Exactly.
That is excellent. Thank you. And
Thank
right
you.
behind,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Vanessa Colley. I know you are a woman who wears multiple hats. Like
Mm.
myself, you are multi-hyphenated. And so we want to know, what are you doing? What's going on?
Well, right now, my sister-in-law and I, she's also in education. She holds an EDS. We are collaborating on a business. It's in the first or the beginning phases, so we just kind of want to move in silence right now. Right now, but I do work for the largest school system in Alabama right now, um, looking to make moves, looking to uh, other opportunities as well. I've been collabing with Dr. Wilson on a couple of things. She's going to take me under her wing and hopefully visit some of these places. So I'm looking forward to that and the plans that we're kind of mapping out. Um, Give or take another year, possibly once we get our. Like I said, I always want to have a plan first, um, and get that lined up where we could get moving. It would still be in education, so we're looking to do something within the year or so.
Well, I got to tell you, in my study, one of the things that, or one of the biblical champions that I relied on heavily to go ahead and defend successfully was the narrative of Nehemiah. And much like what you just said, you're working in silence, you're working in secret, under the cloak of darkness. Nehemiah did the same thing. He heard from a distance
Absolutely.
that something was happening and he wanted to make a change, make a difference. He was a change maker, but it was outside of his typical scope of work. And he was a sommelier in the king's palace,
Mhm.
serving wine, basically
Mhm.
like the Costco people giving samples. But he wasn't doing that. But he said, you know what? I heard from afar that something is happening in my home territory, and I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. But he could not make that change unless he moved in silence. And so,
Absolutely.
under the cloak of darkness, took his little candle or oil lamp or whatever he used at night by himself, walked around the perimeter to understand and did as we all know, and as researchers, did some assessment. You want to do some research, do some assessment. And so Nehemiah did his
That part.
assessment. And then the next time we see the story of Nehemiah, he's sharing not only the assessment, but the plan. As you just said, you want to continue planning. And so I encourage you each to continue with your efforts, whether it is in the public eye, whether there's a website, or you are still working on something behind the scenes, because that is where we do the best work, when we plan, because we all know what happens if you fail to plan. You plan to fail,
Mhm.
and we don't want that to happen. And so, ladies, as we get to the very, very, very near end of our conversation, are there any final thoughts? So I shouldn't even say are there any, because there are, right? There are always extra thoughts. When you got 4 Black women who represent the 4.4% of doctoral graduates from around the country, we have 4 women who, for some interesting reason, have come together on the doc chat, and we have many things in common. We are researchers. We are family women, women who are about our families, women who are big into our community, women who are multi hyphenated. None of us have one gig or one anything. We are women who have moist lips. We are women who smile. We have beautiful complexions. We are here for the conversation. But we also are women who are also looking for next. We're always looking for next, because we're not unsatisfied with life. We are satisfied and we are comfortable and confident in our competence. But above all else, we are also looking forward to what is coming next. And in the next season of our lives, I want to give you a chance to encourage someone else who is also looking forward to the next season of their lives, whether they are academic, they are professional, in their social and home lives. In a minute, give somebody around the world some encouragement, some motivation, some inspiration for what's next. Dr. Shauna, please, ma'am, lead us off.
So, one thing as you were talking that came to me was our character and integrity. So, in order to move to the next, you're going to need someone else to help you along the way. And so, as you move along the journey, make sure that you are walking in integrity, because if you have great character, all the other things will come with it. Because again, the people will want to follow. You can lead. You can't lead without followers. And so if you have the right character and you are showing integrity, then others can push you and help you to move to those next things. So I know personally for me, my next would be to become a principal at secondary level, and also to expand my store. We're already looking at another location here in Clarksville, because it has really been received well here. So we want to be able to expand between the next 6 months to a year to another location here. So always make sure that we're moving in integrity, because your name is greater than anything else. So if you have a good
Absolutely.
if you have a good name, then it will be able to propel you to other things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies, we are here for the conversation. And so, once again, Dr. Alyssa, there is somebody on this.
I know we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
There's someone on the
Oh,
call
okay.
who needs to hear from you. They want you, Dr.
Okay.
Alyssa, they want to know what should they be thinking on, focus on for the next season of the life.
Real quick, I'm going to say keep the faith. It's a wonderful song too by Charles Jenkins. A little plug for him. But keep the faith helped me make it through my doctoral journey. And aside from the song, keep the faith.
That is awesome, Dr. Vanessa Colley. Same question. There is somebody on this call who needs to hear your voice. What should they be focused on in order to get to and through the next season?
I agree with the other doctors. Keep the faith. Keep your integrity. Just to stay steadfast. Like I said, I quoted Galatians 6:9 earlier. Don't be weary in well doing. And sometimes it may get a little hard, but you have to keep pushing. Sometimes you may not have anybody behind you pushing you. You just have to do it yourself. A lot of times I had to do that in different situations, but uh, just stay at it. Don't give up. You may have to lose sleep. You may have to say no. Sometimes I had to miss church, but just get it done. You know what the goal is. You know what you want the outcome to be. You just have to keep at it and stay strong. And some people will you will have to probably leave, or they will leave you, but that's okay. That's okay. Just continue on your path to what it is that you want to do. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. And ladies, without any further ado, I have to share with you there are two things that I always resign myself to. Anybody who's watching us right now, whenever I am faced with a decision, a burden, a hurdle, especially doctoral studies, it was always something happening. I did really amazing in the research. The writing was really good. My situation was the university said it was too big. It was too much. Too much. No one's going to read it. And so in that season, for me, I asked the question as King David asked as he was getting ready to approach that hill, that mountain that seemed so ominous, seemed as if it was just he had no more wind in his lungs, couldn't make one more step. And the question that he asked in First Samuel was, shall I pursue? I want to encourage whomever is in our listening audience, if you are facing something, whether it's health, wealth, your physical, your mental, whatever you're going through, whether you're thinking about starting a business. I know we're talking about our salad company in Clarksville, Tennessee, the Salad Station. I want to encourage you to bring your salad station to Williamson County. I know you said a second location in Clarksville, Tennessee, but I'm going to have a shameless plug and say I see you having it in Williamson County. I don't know, but Clarksville, I could come out there for a salad. We had a question earlier saying, is it against the rules to cross state lines or cross county lines to get a single salad? But if you live in Alabama and you come into Williamson County, it's not that far. It's a little bit closer than Clarksville, Tennessee. But I want to simply say, shall I pursue? Is what I believe you should consider. And if the answer is yes in your spirit, and you've gotten that confirmation, then you have gotten the answer that you will be successful. It's just going to be a journey. Climbing a mountain, climbing a hill, climbing Mount Everest does require effort. But I also want to encourage somebody, and simply by saying like this, that I am a human being. Nothing that any human being has attempted or tried is alien to me. Those words were paraphrased from Dr. Maya Angelou. The late Dr. Maya Angelou realized that we all have to face things in life that maybe nobody in our family, nobody in our immediate friend circle, maybe even in our cohort may have ever experienced exactly what we are experiencing. In that case, that is when we oftentimes have to remember that we are human beings. And if someone has finished, as Dr. Beatty is reminding us, we have finished. If someone has finished, if we four women have finished, what many people say was definitely not going to happen. Whether they were a part of your defense committee, whether it was a part of any of those communities, we all say we finished. And so, ladies, as we wrap up this evening, I say thank you to our typical host of the Doc Chat. Say thank you to each of you for giving me a few moments of your evening, making certain that we encourage our listeners, we encourage persons from around the world, but most importantly, that we encourage ourselves in our next pursuits. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. We're going to stay in touch because we are connected by the state of Tennessee. Long and narrow, but we are still connected. Thank you so much. And from all of us here at the Doc Chat, I am Dr. Michelle Simone Rencher. You can find all of us on LinkedIn. If you've enjoyed what you've heard tonight, I encourage you to share the message, share the love, and most of all, keep learning. Have a good evening.